Sean Chandler, and this is my sister,
Tisha Messing.
and we are here to talk about the 7th episode of Star Trek Discovery, Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad. Just right out of the gate, I would say easily my favorite episode thus far.
Totally agree. It's actually fun.
Yeah, actually fun. And
laughing in the episode.
A lot. You were like laughing and chuckling like throughout the whole thing, beginning to end. And 5 minutes into it, I go, I think there have been more like jokes where we've laughed at in the first 5 minutes of this.
Instead of the entire series.
And that's played out through the whole episode.
Yes, very well.
As well, in the same lines, a lot of the positive things I've said in previous episodes about I've phrased it in, if you kind of take Star Trek out of it, if I turn my brain off, if I just watch it as sci-fi, I wouldn't say that about this episode.
Yeah, this
I would just say
it was Star Trek.
It was enjoyable Star Trek.
Reminded me of Cause and Effect from Next Gen.
That would be the obvious comparison with the time loop, but even the way it plays out very differently in this plotline. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, so we just want to tell you right out of the gate. And we hadn't talked about it. She started to tell me, like, I actually like it. And I was like, no, let's just talk about it on camera. We both really like this episode. With all that said, before we start talking about our specific thoughts on it, all that fun stuff, be sure to tell us what you thought about it down below in the comments section. We do read that. We do interact back and forth with you guys, and we love the lively discussion. When it's nice and respectful, please don't name call down there. I don't understand why we have to tell Star Trek fans, adults watching this show, not to name call. But apparently we need to. Apparently we have to do that for a handful of you. Most of you guys are very respectful. Even every single week there's people like, what? Who are you that you're a Star Trek fan that you're acting like this in a comment section? So that's number one. Be sure to tell us your thoughts on this episode. Also, I want to throw this out there. So you probably heard, they've announced season 2. They're going to do a second season. So in that, I was reading the press releases about all of this. And in that, I reread the official synopsis for the show, and it read like this. Star Trek Discovery follows the voyages of Starfleet on their missions to discover new worlds and new life forms, and one Starfleet officer who must learn that to truly understand all things alien, you must first understand yourself. The series will feature a new ship and new characters while embracing the same ideology and hope for the future that inspired a generation of dreamers and doers. So that is the official synopsis that they released for this show, obviously prior to release. And how do you think the show is doing living up to that synopsis? Because my theory would be that one of the reasons that people like me and my sister have been very frustrated with the show is that we don't feel like that's what we got. That description sounds like a Star Trek show. And say for this episode,
that has not been what we've seen. That is not
what we've seen. Tell me your thoughts on that down below in the comment section. And one final third thing, coming in a couple days, we're going to put out a video talking about our five favorite episodes of Star Trek, the original series. That's coming Tuesday morning. I'm going to drop that.
I even have the communicator my daughter made me. For my birthday. In honor.
We've got props, we've got notes. That's coming in just a few days. With that said, let's start talking about the episode. So our main plot line in this one is that Harry Mudd is out for revenge, and he's out to cut a deal with the Klingons by taking the Discovery captive, figuring out its secrets, selling it to the Klingons, and really just wants to have some fun using his time loop device, killing Lorca over and over and over again. And so this leads to a time loop. One of our B plot lines is that our engineer guy, Spore Experimenter, is apparently outside the timeline. Personalities changed. And because of that, he can jump through time with our time loop deal, and he's aware of what's happening. And our C plot line in all of this, I'm assuming you guys know this is all spoilers. The way he's able to work with Michael and our new Ash Tyler, the dreamy Ash Tyler, is by kind of manipulating their relationship, because everybody knows they've got the hots for each other. And so this episode provides opportunity to leap forward in their relationship. Get that going. Those are 3 plot lines. Yeah. All 3 of them are a lot of fun.
They were.
All 3 of them provide opportunities for character moments.
Yes.
So let's start talking our main storyline. Pull canon about Harry Mudd aside until the end. We'll put that in our... If you guys know the way this will work, we'll talk about the plot lines, talk about our favorites, least favorite things about it, and then we'll save all of our canon stuff for towards the end of the episode. Thoughts?
Like I said before we started filming, this was my favorite episode that they've had so far. This is the one that has felt the most Star Trek-y. And, going back to your reading of the synopsis of the show, we discover a new creature.
Yep.
Which isn't new to them, but it's new to us, and it doesn't feel, it's, they actually make it into some interesting plot points. And they're like, well, under the Endangered Species Act, we need to do this, and and so they have some fun character moments with how they do it. Of one of the go-arounds, both Burnham and Ash are like, no, we can't be Mom, and you can see Lorca considering that, because he trusts both of them, but at the same time has that whole, well, I need to be following the rules more because I'm about to lose my ship otherwise. So that's a nice bit to see continuity within the show, where you see that going back. So overall, I very much enjoyed the plot line. The whole Burnham-Ash romance felt very telegraphed, but it also...
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Yeah, it was really funny, because as she's doing her opening personal log, I was like, joking, Sean, everything that we brought up as something to mention last week, as weird things going on, gets mentioned in the log. Yep. And they keep doing that over and over again. So it's a weird thing in that... It's how they're trying to do the serialized thing, where they're trying to lay groundwork for stuff, but it's oddly done, which it feels weird to me. But this harkens back to one of my favorite Next Gen episodes of Cause and Effect. Yeah. So I saw when they did the ship blow up and they started over, I was like, well, that's fun. Those types of storylines, if done well, can be really fun. Hence Groundhog Day.
Well, they're doing serialized, but they're doing episodic. I mean, each episode is a contained story that comes to a conclusion. There's just threads throughout it that are
that's
serialized.
How most serialized shows are. It covers a specific story arc in that episode, but there's also threads that go throughout the entire season, or throughout whatever their series, the arc is. So
for me, I also, time loop type stories, I like all of those. They're just kind of fun sort of environments to kind of play around with your world and characters. And whether it's Groundhog's Day, Edge of Tomorrow, there's a movie on Netflix called Ark that I really like, low budget kind of home invasion film that's time loop. And then here they found ways to do it. Like in Cause and Effect, the perspective of it is from random crew members. And so here you have it from the perspective of Michael. And the person that's aware of what's going on is not our perspective character.
Yeah,
so that was a fun take on it.
Different way to do it.
And so then we know things that our perspective character doesn't know right from the onset. And that's just a unique, interesting way to kind of go about doing a time loop
very much fun.
type story that I very much appreciated. And then likewise, the way it plays out, it's not that just our crew is trying to figure out how to get out of the time loop and how do we unravel this mystery. It's that there's the person running the time loop is doing it on purpose, so he's never where he was before.
Yes, which makes it adds a degree of difficulty in figuring out how to get out of it.
And storytelling-wise, it's more dynamic because with the first time at time loops, you're like, oh, we're going to see that thing where he walks out and shooting people again. And you don't. You never see it again. And so then it's like the next one, oh, now we're going to see our engineer guy. He's messing with the spore drive. You walk in, oh, no, it's mud in there. And so in the whole thing, they found a way to play around with it. And then later in the episode when they get to, a little bit of mud perspective and they actually have fun with the direction and we see...
killing the Captain Lorca several different times.
Beaming him. And is he about to appear on the monitor? And it pauses for a second.
Took a very long time for him to rematerialize. Much longer than you would expect.
Which I'm pretty sure was for this weird dark humor. At least that's what I would have done. And then beams out and you see Lorca die in agony. So that's probably not funny at all.
No.
But, so just those little things about it. There's this is a show
that's enjoyable.
And you can just kind of, get into some positive of it. But from the get-go, they're speaking positively of the other crew members.
Yes.
Throughout, they're working together.
Yes.
And we're not constantly learning tragic backstories for everyone. So other things in the main storyline, Harry Mudd, if you take your kind of canon, Harry Mudd's supposed to be like this out of it. How do you just think about Rainn Wilson as the main villain? Let's call him Mr. Sand, if we just called him Mr. Sand, and then
just as the main villain as Mr. Sand, he's enjoyable, he's fun. He has a playful quality while still being very evil, which is kind of a fun take on a villain. It's nice to have a villain who's not just, I will take over the world. That's what my kids do all the time. They laugh like that.
Yes. As villains often do.
Yes.
So yeah, I've enjoyed him. Like, so I don't think I have the affinity for classic Mudd that you do. And so for me, just, I see Rainn Wilson. I like his, I know, I peeked at your list. Well, you sent me the picture. And so, Harry, I just seeing Rainn Wilson, I just enjoy seeing him. You can see little hints at a few moments of him being Dwight Schrute from The Office without it feeling like Dwight Schrute's on Star Trek. And so all that stuff I really appreciate, them bringing into it, the performance. And in particular in this one, the previous episode was kind of like, this is so weird, Mudd, and he's a POW with the captain. Well, people are being beaten to death. Why would you introduce Mudd like this?
Yeah, it was...
This one, I went,
okay.
Yeah, this is a new kind of fun, quirky villain you can throw in the mix.
Yeah. Makes for something that's going to probably pop up at least one more time. I have no clue how many times he's been called to be on the show.
I wasn't thinking we were going to see him 2 out of the 3 last episodes, but we did.
We did.
That's the way it worked out.
Yes.
So how about with kind of the resolution? So I guess we can talk about our negatives. We don't necessarily need a standalone thing for it. So one of my big negatives with it, the way the story unfolds, and this is really my only big negative with it. The way the story unfolds is we got engineer guy working so hard to try and convince everybody to believe him. He gets everyone to believe them. He plays matchmaker, does a little dance, time loop. He gets her to dance with him. They kiss. Everything's going great. We just need to make sure that Mudd doesn't find out one piece of information. So we go through this loop, and then he tells him that one piece of information in the time loop where we're about to beat him. We're about to figure it out. We got it all figured out. And then it's like we just need to find an excuse to do the end that we want for it. So it's like, here, let me show you what it is. And then we go, oh no, we can't. He's not going to do another time loop now. I've got to. And we get the fun scene where she goes in there and kills herself, which is normally not a fun thing. But in this context, is a fun thing for her to do.
Fun, not unexpected thing at all.
And it's, not unexpected, but it set up a fun conclusion with them outsmarting him. A Star Trek-y type conclusion. Yeah. But the way they did that was, this character
is super greedy.
Actively tells. Well, I mean, the guy telling this up, like, for us to get there, he does something that, like, what? You can't hold out 2 more times. Like, you just one time you got them together. We got to this point in time.
I can't watch any more people die.
Yeah, I can't do it. I've watched hundreds of deaths over this last little time loop, but I'm done.
I've watched it 53 at that point, probably like 60 times. But that time he's like, I'm done. And
even though, like, we're so close, I've got them together. I figured out everything I need to do to get to the end of the light at the end of the tunnel. These bright lights that we're staring at.
Yeah.
And then here you go, Mudd. Let's fabricate urgency for the sake of the plot line.
Yes. Well, otherwise they could have just endlessly gone through slow.
Or it just resolves kind of an anticlimactic thing, the next loop around. There's several things that could have played out that would have been like, so they kind of did something silly with the way that played out. All right, so we talked a little bit about our Michael plot line, with her having a relationship. Thoughts on it?
On the one hand, it definitely makes her more relatable. You actually kind of see her starting to act more human and unbend a little. But on the other hand, it also felt very rushed, and like, we want to get this storyline going, so let's get it going faster. And so I both like it and don't like it, so I don't know quite what to do with it. It's weird.
And I think that kind of the thing that's been very strong about the whole episode is that everybody's just more likable.
Yeah,
everyone in
the engineer was actually
our engineer friend. Let's put it. We keep calling him the engineer. Stamets. I was like, I wrote it down to remember it, and then Stamets. So I mean, that's our other plot. We'll talk about it at the same time. But they literally came up with a plot device to give him a different personality. So I don't know if they
just ignored him. Like, he's been really weird since he got that.
Awful. And then let's just make him like this quirky, fun character. Suddenly.
Yeah, and playing matchmaker, which was which was a very cute scene and really fun, but at the same time just a little bit weird, and with his boyfriend, or they haven't exactly qualified what the relationship is beyond that they're dating in some format. They have some kind of relationship that just kind of doing a lot of, it's okay. He's been a little weird since he genetically modified himself.
For some reason, Starfleet has a guy that's acting like he has brain damage, running the experimental technology that, as we learned in this episode, is the core to, or the key piece to them winning the war. Yeah. And it's all based around a guy that's acting like his brain damage.
Bashir is like genetically modified as a child, and he had no part in it whatsoever. And they're like, I'm sorry, we're going to have to like remove you from Starfleet, and we're going to put you in with the special people who got genetically engineered and are weird and kooky. And they're a really fun group of people we see him in 2 episodes. But so we're going to totally destroy his career because something that was done to him as a child that he had no choice of at 2 years old or whatever young age he was. But, Stamets, he shot himself in the arm, and we don't care. Yeah. We're winning the war.
All right, so real quick, favorite things about the episode?
Favorite things. I liked the humor. When you watch the episode about my favorite episodes for originals, when you watch the video of favorite episodes of original series,
which you're gonna do.
Yes, you're going to.
Please
or
click
else.
that subscribe button so it shows up in your feed in a couple days.
Yeah, and hit the little bell for the notifications.
There you go. Good call.
I got
you're
that.
Good at this.
Good. Yeah, but if you see that list, you'll notice that I like the quirky, funny episodes. I have a quirky personality, and those are the episodes I like. Those are the books I like. The ones that have a little bit of the chaos. I like the Q episodes in Next Gen. It cracks me up that when the one time Q is on Deep Space Nine that Cisco punched him. You punched me! Jean-Luc never punched me! I'm not Picard. Grin.
Oh, you're getting ahead. We'll talk about our favorites of other shows. This one.
That is not one of my favorites of Deep Space Nine. That's just a fun little scene.
On track.
Focus. What was I saying?
Favorite things about the episode.
Oh, favorite things about the episode. Yeah, so
humor.
I like the quirkiness. I like that we actually have people beyond Captain Lorca getting personalities, so that we're actually like getting to see them and finding them interesting as people rather than just as here's your tragic sad person A, here's tragic sad person
seeing
B.
them in conflict. How do you operate in stressful situations where you have to be in conflict?
So like
that's how we've seen them.
So we had the scene where Mudd is on the bridge and you see the entire bridge crew communicating silently, so that shows that they've actually had enough interactions that they can communicate and actually develop a plan without saying words, which is the key, which is a crew that knows how to work together, which we haven't seen previously. Yeah. Previously, it's just been like, do they even like each other? How are they still here? So those are my those are my pluses.
Yeah, so for me, just that we had an episode that
found things. Like it felt like we've discovered something. Like what the show is called.
There you go.
Yeah.
That you had a crew working together that seemed to enjoy each other, that were friends with each other.
Yes.
And you saw hints of that last episode. You see it in full form here. Personalities, humor, fun, trying to solve a problem together. The relationship of the crew is not based around we have to have conflict with each other. The way that they're developing characters in this episode wasn't here's how tragic their backstory is and how scary the universe is. It's none of that stuff.
Yeah, it's not in there.
And even though this is an episode with a high body count.
Yeah, it's like a high
body count. Your feeling was like, it was fun. That was kind of quirky little adventure. And hey, all the death was undone in the end. So
it's all good.
No problems.
Yeah.
And so all of those elements that just kind of made for something that felt like Star Trek. This is when they announced this show and they put out that synopsis I read at the beginning. This is what I wanted.
Yes.
And this is what I liked. And if they do more of this, that's awesome.
Yay!
We will very quickly undo things we said before were true of what came before, but they don't have to be true of what comes in the future.
Yeah, it could do a 180 like Next Gen did. Mm-hmm. Or, there are a lot of people that really dislike the first season of Deep Space Nine. I like it personally because it's got some fun episodes. It's still not a great season. You don't really get great seasons until you get to the Dominion War, but yeah.
And things you didn't like.
Mudd is much more Machiavellian than I'm quite comfortable with.
One of my notes that I wrote down, is Mudd usually this much of a sociopath?
No, he's not.
So we'll get into the canon side of that, but just as a guy that
it was like, I know, I was like, this is really violent.
And right out of the gate, like I was wondering, is he just stunning people? And then they're like, there have been 4 fatalities already, and then he starts keeping walking along. I was like, whoa, this is for being jokey, and he's got like a mouse head on. Like, this is pretty dark.
Actually, it kind of reminded me of the Andorians with the tentacles.
So other ones I mentioned kind of earlier, when we talked about it, the fact that our engineer guy that I forgot his name already, Stamets, that why is he still in charge of this expensive technology? The other one, the plot device of him going, here it is. Those are really my issues. I started nitpicking after that.
So the impressive thing about this episode is that overall, I have things that I notice in the moment, but since I wasn't taking notes like Sean, because if I have something, I will get distracted. I don't. When I think about it, I'm like, oh wait, yeah, that was really bad and stupid. But then, like, I get distracted and I forget it. So
right, because you get swept away in the episode.
Yeah, which is the sign of a good episode. Yeah. So, because as somebody has said in the comments several times, well, Star Trek has never been super good at its own continuity, and blah blah blah. You're a canon purist, blah blah. But you don't notice it in the moment is the big thing. So, whereas the previous episodes I have.
So growing up, we had the full collection Nitpickers Guides, and we had fun reading through the Nitpickers Guides. And it was because you'd read through them and you go, I hadn't noticed that. That's so stupid. Our favorite shows, and we hadn't noticed it. Now, again, when we got them, we were kids, so we weren't as sophisticated of thinkers as we are now. But the key thing is that we watched it and just got swept up away in it.
Yeah,
and when we watched most of these first 6 episodes, we didn't feel swept away. And this one, it was like, all right, I don't need to write down all these issues I have because I don't care. I just like this episode.
Yeah, I mean, there's like little things like it felt like they were going a little fast with they just wanted to start the storyline of the romance. Yeah, and so they're like, we're gonna just go. Boom, done. Oh, and so
I was going to mention this earlier. Some of that feels like because they were so stunted in the relational side of things in the first 5 episodes, it almost feels like it's rushed, partially just because we're just playing catch up on Michael functioning as a character like that.
Yeah,
that's part of it. I think
very much so.
In which case, so that suddenly there's a guy there with. On a Star Trek show, the fact that like a dreamy guy shows up, he's around for 2 episodes, and then there starts being, is this person in a relationship with Deanna Troi or whoever you want it to be? That wouldn't be uncommon. Yeah. But because Michael's been so cold up to this point in time, I think that's what that is.
Yes.
All right, so then our final section, canon. What were your kind of canon? I didn't have any new canon type issues, so our Mudd discussion.
The big thing is so the really cool part, they included his wife, Stella, or I guess she's not his wife yet. She's about to become his wife. And she features prominently in the episode I Mudd, which is just, it's fun. It's silly. He crash lands on a planet full of androids, and they're like, we've been looking for somebody to take care of. And he basically programs all of the androids. He does like entire series of androids that all just are amazingly gorgeous and all of this stuff. And of course, because it's 1960s and it's Star Trek, the women are of course all very scantily clad and have of course fully within the trail. Yeah, but he created one that was his wife solely so that he would call it Stella, and then she'd come out and she'd be like, and she'd start yelling at me and be like, shut up, Stella. And that was the entire purpose for her creation. So they included that, and you see a little bit of her character. But on the other hand, in the original series, he felt like just a trickster character. Yeah.
Not a mass murderer?
Not a mass murderer, no. Or a crazy sociopath or a traitor. So that's the part that's really weird about Mudd.
It's not a small shift. Does someone shoot and kill people like a sociopath, or do they not do that?
Like in the original episodes that you see him in, he's definitely a trickster, and he's definitely, how can I make a buck? But he doesn't kill people. and he has chances to be a little bit more violent, but he's generally more of the how can I talk my way out, how can I con my way out, not how can I kill everyone in a vengeance spree. So that part was, but I will give him props though. He does have some of those little bits of character quirkiness that feels like Mudd. He's just a very crazy murder hobo Mudd.
All right. Any final thoughts on the canon?
That's the big thing where you get into it is just Mudd. Everything else it doesn't really.
Because it was just an episode that was an adventure with a bad guy in a time loop that's very Star Trek-y, so I was very excited. And very much so, this has by far given me the most hope of anything. It really has. Like, there's not a way to describe just how different this episode felt to me as compared to everything else.
Very, very, very different, which is fun.
And if you watch this episode, take Mudd off his name, and hadn't seen the previous episode, and just watched this, you would just think, yeah, Star Trek.
Yeah.
I don't know what time frame it's set in, but it's Star Trek. Yeah. And very Star Trek-y, fun, except the use of music with Stay Alive.
I was like, oh, look, it's a 90s rave party complete with flashing lights. That'd give me a migraine if I was there.
Yeah, very JJ Trek to use a take on modern contemporary music. But like I said, easily my favorite episode thus far.
Yes.
Gave me a ton of hope for the future that this can go somewhere that I would become a very big fan of this. And I can see the path to it, what that would look like. With all that said, that's our take on it. How about you guys? Once again, put your thoughts down below in the comment section. Tell me your thoughts on that synopsis that I read at the very beginning of this episode. And if you're new to my channel, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I do movie reviews, TV reviews, ranking videos. But the key thing is I don't want to just talk about Star Trek. I want to talk about Star Trek with you. And she wants to talk about Star Trek with you. And so join us down in the comment section. Let's have some lively, respectful conversations. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And be sure to tune in on Tuesday for our top 5 list that we're going to shoot in about 3 minutes. That's a 2, not a 3. I'm out.
3.